What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and a quick shout out to the Celtics. Even though they lost last night in the finals, they had a fantastic comeback in the regular season. They had a bunch of fantastic comeback moments in the postseason, and they have a great young core of players, so I don't expect them to go anywhere anytime soon, but tip of my cap to their season and how great it ended up being. Anyways, so the Red Sox, like the title says, have won 4 straight series in a row. That's a really great sign going into a really tough July. They ended up taking 2 out of 3 from the Oakland Athletics after losing in kind of bizarre fashion yesterday. We'll get to that in a second. But what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about everything that happened in this Red Sox series. We're going to talk about the good, we're going to talk about the bad, and we're going to talk about why it's so important that they win all these games now. But before I get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys are hitting the like button on these videos. It helps it out a ton. And don't be afraid to share this video with a friend. If you know someone who loves the Red Sox as much as you do, they'll probably enjoy this video too. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the offense in this series, and we're going to start the offense obviously with Rafael Devers, who at one point in this series had been on a streak where he hit 4 home runs in 4 games in a row, which is really impressive. He had 2 home runs in the first 2 games of the series, both multi-RBI home runs in this series too, which is kind of cool to see. And on top of that, he made a fantastic play at third base in this series, in the 3rd game of this series. That's a kind of a scary thought. The thought of Rafael Devers being a well-rounded third baseman as well as this power hitting crazy hitter that he is, that's really scary for the rest of the league, but for us it's a ton of fun to watch. We also got to talk about JD Martinez, who had a home run in this series, making it 3 home runs in his last 6 games. JD Martinez finding his power would be detrimental to the rest of the AL. I'm all here for it, but everyone else should be super worried. Xander Bogaerts had a very Xander Bogaerts type series again, where he had multiple doubles, multiple RBIs. He did miss a home run by what looked like maybe a foot, so there's that, but it was just a very typical Xander Bogaerts offensive series. He also was making some fantastic plays at shortstop in this series as well, which is really cool to see. We see Rafael Devers making pretty cool plays, and then you add Xander Bogaerts as well, and it's no longer, oh, the Red Sox have a terrible left side. No, the Red Sox are starting to compete defensively with some of these other teams on the left side of the diamond. But we do have to talk about Alex Verdugo, because it was Alex Verdugo's game in that 2nd game of the series. He had 4 RBIs in the game, including RBIs off of a home run, which it was 196 plate appearances since Alex Verdugo hit his last home run. That's incredible, because Alex Verdugo has been absolutely smacking the ball. He just hasn't been able to get it up and get it out. He has been, in my opinion, the unluckiest hitter in baseball. So to see him get sneak one out of here must be great for him. It feels great for us, and it's all around a good thing when Alex Verdugo is producing for this team. We also have to shout out all the young guys that came up in this series, Ref Snyder and Duran. Duran ended up going 2 for 3 with a beautiful bunt in the 1st inning and a double later in the game, in the final game of this series. And Ref Snyder made another fantastic catch in the outfield and had a couple of singles in this series to go along with it, including a sac fly as well. So Ref Snyder possibly making a case here to stay on the team a little bit longer. Duran has been making his case the entire year, so we'll kind of see how that shapes up in the coming days. I wasn't as thrilled with the offense in this series as I have been in other series. A lot of the runs that came here and why it looks so crooked in the scorebook is because of errors made by the Athletics, or plays that probably should have been made but weren't ultimately called errors. Besides the home runs and the doubles, a lot of the singles were sneaking through and stuff like that. And while it's great to have that, this is a team that you're going to be facing a lot of good teams in July, and those lucky plays that we got in this series probably won't happen against the teams like the Yankees, Toronto, or Tampa Bay. So a little bit nervous about that, but still cooking with gas offensively, and hopefully they can continue that going in to face the Cardinals. Let's talk about the pitching side of this series. The starting pitching in this series was great. The first game we got was Nick Pivetta, who has something against the Oakland A's for some reason. He went 8 innings, allowed 1 run. Just check out his stats against Oakland A's. They're pretty incredible how dominant he is against them. And yes, they're not a great team, but still, to be that dominant against any team in the MLB is still pretty impressive. He's being exactly what this team needed him to be. A guy that can go late into games, a guy who could shut teams down, give the bullpen rest, especially with everything that's going on with the injuries for this team. To have Nick Pivetta performing like this is a very, very good sign. we got more young guys to talk about. Josh Winkowski got his second start with the Red Sox, and it went much better than the first one. He went 5 innings, struck out 3, and no earned runs, which is, again, exactly what we needed from these young guys. Hopefully Winkowski did enough to earn himself a spot in this rotation, at least until Eovaldi and Whitlock get back, because I really like watching Winkowski work. He's a bit of a maniac on the field, and he yells at himself and throws stuff and gets really mad at himself, but he also pitches really fast and with a tempo that I really like to watch. So hopefully Winkowski earned himself a spot in this rotation. But again, he went 5 innings, struck out 3, and allowed none. And if we're going to talk about young guys, we got to talk about the old guys too, because Rich Hill got the ball in game 3 to finish up this series, and he had an extremely average start. Not good, not bad, dead average. He went 5 2/3, allowed 3, and struck out 4. Is it lights out? No. Is it good enough to keep this team in ball games? Yes. And that's really all we can ask for at this point with Rich Hill. I think he's mostly just a placeholder until Chris Sale gets back. All in all, in this series, the starting pitching was exactly what we needed it to be. We needed Nick Pivetta to be that guy, and he was that guy. We needed Winkowski to just fill innings, and he did fill innings. And all we needed from Rich Hill was just to keep the Red Sox competitive, and that's exactly what they did. So that's a great sign going forward. Hopefully, again, it's a confidence boost they need going in to face a much better offensive lineup in the Cardinals and in the Guardians before we go into this gauntlet in July. As for the bullpen, a good series is when I don't have a lot to say about it. And I don't have a lot to say about it in this recap. Everyone did their job. The only guy I do want to talk about is Sawamura, who continues to infuriate me. Because if you look at his statistics, they look all right. But every time he gets into a game, it is with runners on base, and he lets those runners score, and they're never earned. If he had unearned runs as a statistic, it would be like 15. I swear, it's insane. Sawamura right now is at the bottom, right above Matt Barnes on my trust list right now. I don't know. Let me know where you guys put him. Do you put him above Brazier? Do you put him below Brazier and Valdez? Where do you guys put Sawamura on your trust list in this bullpen? But again, for the rest of the bullpen, they did their jobs. There wasn't really a ton of runs scored in this series by the A's. A lot of them came from Rich Hill, but there was only 3 runs combined besides Rich Hill's outing in this series. So that's exactly what you need. Again, another confidence boost to this team. If they can continue to do this against the Cardinals, against Detroit, we're not going to have a problem with Nate Eovaldi and Whitlock being on the IL. But I still fear that the bullpen may run thin in the next couple of games. We do have Waka coming up, but either way, without Eovaldi and without Whitlock, things could run thin pretty quickly, so keep an eye on that. All in all, great series. Again, 4 series win in a row, which is exactly what we need. Unfortunately, everyone else in the AL East is doing really well, so we didn't really make up a ton of ground, but we are only about 3 games out of 3rd place. That's pretty crazy. This team was fighting for 4th place against the Orioles just a month ago, and now we're fighting for 3rd place with the Tampa Bay Rays. And that is exactly what we wanted here. We didn't want to be division leaders after the start that we had. We just wanted to compete in this division. That's exactly what they're doing. Why these wins are super important is because coming up here, you got St. Louis and then you got Detroit. Detroit isn't exactly the most fearsome opponent, but St. Louis will definitely give you a run for your money. They're a pretty tough team to beat. Then you go into Cleveland. And after Cleveland, you are facing Tampa, New York, Tampa, New York. That's a gauntlet, in my opinion. That is where the Red Sox decide, are we going to be competitive in this division or not? If they can compete in that division, then we have a legitimate shot at this playoffs and a run in the playoffs, not just making the playoffs. But we are going to talk about all of that and get super in depth in that in the next couple of videos, because I think it's super important for you guys to know what's going on with the schedule because of the way the Red Sox started. Anyways, again, great series win for the Red Sox. Hopefully they can pull one out against the Cardinals. That'd be pretty big. Let me know what your thoughts are down below on the Red Sox right now. What did you think of this series? What do you think of their current state? What do you think they are going to do going forward? Let me know all your thoughts on anything down below. As always, if you've made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button. Like I said, if you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day, and you clearly enjoy the video, so you might as well click it. Also, make sure you guys are hitting the like button as well. It is the best way to help this channel out. And finally, if you enjoyed this recap and you know someone who loves the Red Sox as much as you do, send them this recap as well. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.